pressure, but it wasn't to be. So credit to Newcastle and good luck to them in the final.
Belvis, Dean just said there that the game was won and lost inside that first 20 minutes. Obviously, we went 2-0 down in that period. That wasn't the start at all we were hoping for. What was it that Saints really struggled to get to grips with early on with Newcastle?
I think you've got to accept the occasion was enormous, and St James's Park is one of those stadiums that's famous for its atmosphere. And on any given day, then on a night game, it cranks up another level. For a semi-final, another level again, and then they parade two new signings just before the kick-off. So the fans were, making an extraordinary noise. The players responded by coming out of the traps so very quickly. Some of their passing was so slick, so clever. Their movement was good, and Saints looked like the three at the back system clearly isn't sort of very natural to them yet. They're getting to grips with it. Last time out, the first leg, we said before the game, the problems were down the Southampton left. Almiron, Isak late on, they caused all sorts of problems down that side. Today, the initial problems all seem to come down the right. The Lianco and James Bree on his debut, though, that sort of partnership didn't gel from the off. And, the other thing, that they were very good goals. The two goals that were scored were very, very good goals. There were a couple of elements that I'm sure, well, I know for a fact that the coaching staff will point to and say, look, Adam Armstrong, for example, you've switched off there, you're with your man, and then you've let him go. Sean Longstaff has just played a 1-2 as he's gone to collect the return ball. Armstrong just hasn't tracked him. He's gone in the area and he's scored. And the second goal again, and there was a let off as well in between the two goals. Jan Bednarek made a good block, but there were issues with perhaps not closing down quickly, not anticipating all these things. The second goal, very slick passing, very good finish again from Longstaff, and things needed to change, and that's where the credit has to be given to the manager, because he changed things throughout the first half time again, and Saints grew into the game. The big problem was that they had a disadvantage already from the first leg and no wriggle room. As soon as you're chasing the game like that, Newcastle, so well organised, so well drilled, such quality players. They're third in the Premier League for a reason. They know what they're doing. So it was very, very hard for Saints to get back into it. They gave it a good go though.
Well, just when we were starting to worry that Newcastle would be running away with it, Shea Adams pops up with a stunner, Dean. Where did that come from? Was it a hit out of frustration?
Maybe, Steve. It's that's typical Shea, isn't it? But he scores some wonderful goals. He really does. It's brilliant technique from him. It's completely instinctive. The first touch from him is excellent, and then it kind of sits up lovely, and he kind of half volleys it. So true, skids off the surface. No chance for Pope, but a brilliant strike, and that is Shea at his best. We've seen him do that many times for Southampton. He scores some wonderful goals, some spectacular goals. He just needs to add the simpler chances to his goal scoring ability, and he'll score lots more goals. But it came from just Southampton being a little bit more direct, if I'm honest. In the 3-5-2 formation, we were trying to play Shaw, playing out from the goalkeeper, going to centre half, going to the full back, and it just seemed a little bit too easy for Newcastle to press Southampton. It seemed a little bit predictable. I think Paul was right. The occasion maybe got to one or two of the players. They weren't quite mentally there, if I'm honest. I think they looked a little bit distracted, sloppy in possession, giving the ball away. Movement was a bit slow for each other, so there was no combinations. But then we went a little bit more direct, and that's where the goal came from, really, being able to play in Newcastle's half. Yes, it comes from a sloppy pass from Willock, but Shea capitalises on it, and it's a brilliant finish. So the frustration will be, and it's easy in hindsight, will be the shape, really, and how it didn't work. But like we've just said, Nathan reacted and made the changes. He wasn't stubborn in that. He saw that it wasn't working, and he he changed things and then made substitutions at half-time as well. And it did get better and better. It was just an uphill battle, really, and just too much for against a team that just don't concede goals. They don't really concede chances, let alone goals, except for the Adam Armstrong chance. I can't really remember too many other Pope saves or opportunities. So credit to Newcastle, but it just came from Southampton being a little bit more direct, playing in Newcastle's half, and being able to press from a more structured shape to force Newcastle into mistakes.
Well, Belvers, let's talk about the changes that Nathan Jones made in that match. Of course, none of us wanted to see Kyle Walker-Peters coming off injured, but the change in formation and change of personnel certainly seemed to work in Southampton's favour.
Yeah, it is a worry, that injury. It seems to be a hamstring, and they can keep players out for significant lengths of time. He has been one of the best signings in recent times. 3 years ago this week, Kyle Walker-Peters has been so reliable, so very good at both ends of the pitch, and as we've seen, he can play on the left and on the right. So yeah, we wish him a very speedy recovery and hope it's not too serious. But going to the 4-3-3, as Dean said, Saints just looked a lot more comfortable. They had an awful lot more of the ball. I think the stats suggested 65% possession, something like that. Now, there is an element of Newcastle sitting back and protecting what they had involved in that, but Southampton did look an awful lot better. The disappointment, if you like, is the number of chances that were created from all of that possession. It is very difficult at St James's Park against such a good team, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens now moving forward. How often that three at the back shape is utilised again, when there is going to be a lot of pressure from the outside. There's a lot of sort of basic evidence pointing to the fact, look, Saints look good when they're playing 4-3-3. It looks a struggle playing 3-5-2. But every manager will tell you that versatility is so important, and you're coming up against different teams every week, different strengths, different threats, and if you have some different weapons up your sleeve and players who are comfortable playing in different formations and systems and asking different questions, then you're going to be a much bigger threat yourselves and have a better chance of picking up vital points. So it's good that there is the 4-3-3 formation that looks promising, and that will still be utilised, of course. Other things need to improve, though.
Now, the chance of the second half fell to Adam Armstrong. A lovely pass from Romeo Lavia, I believe, Dean, putting him through. And it was a bit like Shea's opportunity in the first leg, where we were just left saying, if only that had gone in.
Exactly, Steve. It would have been a brilliant time for Southampton to score. I think there maybe would have been 15 minutes left if Adam Armstrong had put that away. It's a brilliant pass from Lavia, and I thought we had a very good game when he came on. He was able to get on the ball and dictate a little bit more. Very comfortable in receiving the ball under pressure, and it would have been a big help to have him on the pitch in the first half, really, when Newcastle were pressing Southampton with such intensity. But it's great vision. It's a great pass. He lets the ball run across his body, uses his left foot. And again, the change of shape, I think, helped Adam Armstrong because he could play wide to come narrow, and that helps that movement, so he becomes a little bit unsighted. It's great movement from him. He has a really good first touch. I was watching it in slow motion on the replay, and he actually looks up and he sees Nick Pope coming, but Nick Pope comes out at such pace and such intensity, and he's such a big guy, it's really difficult to lift him over him. You could question it. I remember the commentator was saying that Adam Armstrong could have gone round him, taken another touch, but it's so difficult at that pace, really. And Nick Pope's such a size. I think Adam Armstrong probably does the right thing. He just can't quite execute it enough and can't quite get enough height on it, because if he had gone round Nick Pope, I think Trippier was recovering, so he may have been able to get a block on it. But it's that, I suppose it's those vital moments are the difference, really. Southampton in many games have these moments. Shea Adams in the first leg when he's through one-on-one. If he scores that, is it a different game? Adam Armstrong if he scores that chance, does it give Southampton some hope to come back in the game? That's the difference at the highest level and the top quality players. Every player that plays in the Premier League is an outstanding footballer, but then you have the next level above of the exceptional players that when they get in those positions, they just seem to be able to make the right decision at the right time, be composed and slow themselves down and kind of slow the whole game down to see where to just slide it. Do I go around the keeper? Do I lift it a little bit higher? So it was good goalkeeping by Nick Pope, but it's just those small margins that are not quite happening for Southampton at the moment.
Well, later, VAR intervened when Bruno Guimaraes went studs up on Sam Adozzi's ankle. Belvers, presumably no complaints from you on that one?
No, I think Bruno was a little bit unlucky. It was quick feet from Sam Adozzi. He just got there first, and Bruno Guimaraes put his foot where the ball was, and look, if he was unlucky in a way, Adozzi was very lucky that he could get up and carry on, because that sort of challenge, you can very easily see an ankle being broken. So it was the right call, but I think that interesting that they VAR sent the ref to the screen, and he watched it about 7 or 8 times. It felt like, and you sort of thought, is this another VAR call that's going to go against Southampton? But in the end, the right call was made, and it was a crucial time of the game. 10 minutes to go. There's time for Saints to get back into it. Just a couple of minutes before that, Gavin Bazunu had pulled off a terrific double save. Longstaff from long distance, full stretch, Bazunu flying, and then from the rebound, Isak at close range. And that gave you a flicker of hope. You thought, well, if Longstaff's shot had gone in or the rebound, then the red card wouldn't have mattered. Down to 10 men, free kick in a decent position. Not, it's anything around there. It's very dangerous with James Ward-Prowse over the ball, but you thought, perhaps the skipper can conjure up another bit of magic. It wasn't far off, but unfortunately Isak got his head to it, and that crucial chance then after that never really materialised. But that again gave a flicker of hope. It was the right call. Ultimately, doesn't matter.
James Bree made his debut for Southampton tonight. Dean, what did you make of him?
I think he grew into the game. I think he got better, especially in the second half. I think he benefited again from the change of shape, more playing naturally more as a right back than a wing back. I think he probably openly admits he was surprised at the intensity of the game. That would be the first time that I assume that he's played at this level in a game of this size, away at Newcastle in a semi-final. So it kind of was difficult in the first half for him down that right-hand side. Newcastle's left-hand side, they were very, very good in Willock and Joel Linton, combining really, really well, were really, really direct, were quick and direct, running in behind. But he grew into the game. I thought second half he looked comfortable on the ball. I thought he combined well with Sam Adozzi. They had some moments together. He put a couple of lovely through balls through where Adozzi got out on the outside of Dan Burn and looked like it could be a penalty, but gets a cross in. He put a couple of good crosses on and just grew into the game. So it's good. You can see he's a quality player. You can see he's a good player. And it will take a little bit of time to bed in and to understand what it is to play in the Premier League. It's very, very different from the Championship. It is a step up. But he looks like he's got the attributes. He's a good size. He looked like he's quick. He's comfortable on the ball. So, look, it's a great experience for him tonight. He'll be disappointed that he's been part of a losing team, like all the players will. But it's his debut for the club, and I think he'll be a good signing as he comes and he beds in. And he's important now with Kyle Walker-Peters. If he's going to be injured, James Bree's going to get a long run in the team now, and he can slowly grow. Get used to the players, get used to how Nathan wants to play at Southampton and grow as a player. So he done better in the second half, but the first half I think he found it a little bit challenging at times.
Well, Belver's attention now turns to a big game at Brentford on Saturday. How are you feeling ahead of that one?
I was at Brentford against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. Blimey, they were very good that day. And again, the atmosphere is something else at the G-Tech. They put on a show, and they made Liverpool look very ordinary. in that game. And it was a game without Ivan Toney as well. For a while it looked like he was absolutely crucial. You keep Ivan Toney quiet and Brentford struggle, but Johan Wieser came in that day and they looked tremendous. From a Saints point of view, I think back to last season, the first game of Sport Republic was a home game against Brentford, and what a wonderful win that was. The away game was a low point, was perhaps the start of the end for Ralph Hasenhüttl. It was a very poor day, that one. I think Saints can go there. I think there have been enough positives from the last few performances that suggest Saints could go on a little run. The big problem at the moment is, and it's no surprise with a team down in the position that Southampton are in at the moment, it's consistency over 90 minutes. There are some very good spells in matches at the moment. They've got to capitalise on those, and then when the other team have their spells, not make mistakes, not concede, just hang in there, or be strong, be together, and see those spells out. Saints have shown they've got good chances in them. They are going to keep creating very good chances. They've got to start taking those chances, and just be a little bit more solid at the back at times. But they have given Newcastle two terrific games. Newcastle had some good chances in the first game, in the first leg at St Mary's. They had fewer good chances, I'd say, in this one, and yet they've won it 2-1. And again, take a bit of confidence from the first goal that Nick Pope has conceded in 10-11 matches. It's going to be hard right now to feel there are a lot of positives if you're in that dressing room or on the coach home or the plane home, whatever it will be. But I think all managers spend a long time in video sessions with players now after matches. Nathan Jones is going to be able to highlight a lot of areas for improvement, a lot of areas though which could have turned games. And Saints go up to Brentford, bottom of the Premier League, out of the League Cup now. But there were only a couple of little slight, it wouldn't have taken a lot for them to have been going up to Brentford off the bottom of the table and in the League Cup final. And that's, I think, you do need a bit of positivity. You need to be realistic, and you need to recognise where you are and all of that. But also, grasp those positives and build on them.
Well, Brentford are having a decent run in the Premier League, Dean, and are sitting 8th in the table. What are your early thoughts ahead of that match on Saturday?
It's a tough game, but I agree with everything Paul's just said there. I think it's really important that Southampton gets something from this game against Brentford, whether that's a win or a draw. I think they need something, but they continue the performances. I think the players will have a very good idea of what Nathan expects of them now. The players look fitter, they look up to speed, and they've put some really good performances in. Against Aston Villa was a good performance. The first leg against Newcastle was a very good performance. The second half, probably an hour today, was a very good performance. So Paul said it's there. It's when Southampton are performing well and having those moments, they need to score. And when they're having challenging periods, they need to stick together and be able to keep a clean sheet in those periods. That's important as well. Find that clean sheet. Find a way of keeping a clean sheet, because we're not prolific at the moment. We're not scoring a lot of goals. So it's really important that we're defensively strong, and we'll need to be that against Brentford. We will, because they're an excellent team. We've had a very good season, sitting 8th in the Premier League. Very good home team, but it's Brentford. They're beatable. Southampton have shown they can beat anyone this season. They're competitive against anyone. It's just scoring some goals in those moments. And Nathan's a good motivator. He'll get this group together. He'll keep them going, and he'll know that. They'll know what is expected of them now. So it's a game that they can look at and a game they can get something out of, definitely.
Dean Belvers, thank you. Always a pleasure to have your company. They're brilliant, aren't they? Well, as we've mentioned, we return to Premier League action this weekend. We'll be live before that Brentford game this Saturday at 1:45. Do make sure you join us then.
See you soon.